What's going on YouTube? All right, so I got an interesting video. So I recently purchased a kind of like a small lot of Netherlands silver coins. Never ever held one in my hands, never ever purchased one, never even seen one in a coin shop before. And I wanted to just make a tutorial video in case you run across this stuff or in case you are interested in collecting this or stacking this. Or if you're just, looking through a dealer's local coin shop, World Coin Bin, and you come across these coins, they actually have some value and it's pretty straightforward. And then I'm also going to do like a quick comparison to what the US had at the time. So anyways, I wanted to start off with, first of all, it's based on the monarchs at the time. So our very first monarch that I have, not in Netherlands history, but that I have purchased, is this guy, Willem II. And he started, he's the first guy. It ranges at 1843 to 1849. And this is a 2.5, I believe it's called Gulden. So they didn't call their stuff dollars. They call it Gulden. So first of all, if you see this coat of arms, it keeps it really simple. Like this is the coat of arms they used all throughout, even up to the 1933. So their reverses don't really change. They do change the privy marks. So there's a little sword in the privy mark here. There's some grapes here. Looks like health on the bottom right here. Same with there. So it's pretty straightforward though to recognize these coins. So if you see this type of back, and it could be a 2.5, it could be a 1 Gulden. Hopefully I'm saying gold, the money number right. And then here is a half. So a couple interesting things. First of all these coins are silver, which is cool. So if you run across them, they're actually higher silver content than our constitutional US silver. So their content for silver for Netherlands coinage is 0.945. So it's almost 95% silver. So this 2.5 Gulden, and I'm going to show a Morgan silver dollar next to it. Pretty similar in size. Now the 2.5 Gulden is a little larger in diameter, but it doesn't weigh as much. So the Netherlands, they use the metric system. So 2.5 Gulden is real simple. It's 25 grams. Whereas a Morgan silver dollar, although it not have as much diameter because it's thicker, a Morgan silver dollar weighs around 26.8 grams. How do I know that? I've just authenticated and I sell mainly Morgan, so I have it memorized. I don't have a cheat sheet, guys. I also don't edit my videos. So for Netherlands purposes, they keep it pretty simple. You got 25 grams for 2.5. You got 10 grams for a 1 Gulden. And you got 5 grams for a half a Gulden. So there's no fancy like, oh, this is $1, this is $2, this is $3. It doesn't roll that way. It's basically based off of, at the time, you either had a 2.5 Gulden, which was measurable in actual real silver, and then you had a 1 Gulden, which was 10 grams. So 25 grams, 10 grams, and 5 grams. So their system's pretty basic to kind of keep track of the weight and the silver. They also, again, they may run reverse for like ever. So I don't know, guys. Like that to me is kind of weird, but that's maybe Netherlands is not a huge country or was not a huge country at the time. So they just kept things simple. I mean, they had quarters, or I'm sure they had quarters, 10 cents, pennies, whatever. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But for what I actually got, I just want to educate you guys on this. All right, so let's keep it simple. So we got Wilhelm. It's Willem. Then he had a son, one son, Willem III. Okay, so anything with Willem or Willem III, this dude, these are going to be 90, almost 95% silver. Okay. And then this guy, Willem III, he was like an older dude, like in his like mid 60s. He's trying like heck to make a son. And I mean, he made kids with a prior wife and stuff, but they died. Like it's, back in the day, man, like people just didn't survive. So finally decided when he passes away, I'm going to just give my throne to my daughter, who, again, this dude's like 67 when his daughter's born. He passes away, and they're really creative with their names very well. Then we got Wilhelmina becomes the monarch or the ruler of the Netherlands. She gets this crown like really early, guys. Like she was born, I think, in 1880. She gets the crown at 1890 because Willem III passes away. So if you see this coin when she is a little girl, I mean, dude, seriously, she's like 10 or 11 years old when this coin was produced. These are pretty rare, and the reason they're rare is they didn't make a ton of these. So this is her as a child, and then she has another coin where she is a teenager or very, very young, not super young girl here. I mean, seriously, how many like coins do you see where there's a little girl on it and it represents the entire country? It's pretty cool, right? So then we have her as a teenager. Okay. And then they switched it over to her as a younger lady in 1914. And then this is like the main one they used kind of throughout. So Wilhelmina is hopefully I'm saying her name right. She's pretty popular in the Netherlands. She was always for the people. And she was also really popular in World War II. So she fled to England when the Netherlands got, taken over by the Germans. She fled to England, very strong against the Germans. And then when she got her country back, shortly after the war in 1944, they made a ton of her coins, which are really, really popular in this size, the one Gulden. So their history of making coins is totally, totally different than the U.S. So like the U.S., every year we pretty much made a coin, right? I mean, there were certain years where we didn't, but pretty much there was a coin being made. So what I find is interesting is for the 2.5 Gulden, which is, again, a strange denomination, but again, it's similar in weight and size to a U.S. dollar. So here's my question to you guys. And again, we were not alive back then, but first of all, I think it's cool that I actually have this in my possession. It's from 1847, right? Like this coin probably belongs in a museum. Like what is it doing here in the suburbs of Chicagoland, right? When this came from the Netherlands. So here's my theory. Obviously Chicago the United States in general. So like New York, because people were not taking a boat to Chicago back in the day. I mean, they could have, but mainly they were coming into New York, right? This is like before California and stuff, before people started coming over there, because California really wasn't developed back then. So basically everyone back in the day came to New York, right? That's how they entered America, through liberty. And you got to figure the people that came here probably had some money, or they were dirt poor, whatever the case may be, but they brought their money with them because they did not have U.S. money at the time. So I guess the question is, for you guys, so let's say you're this family, or let's say you're just this dude. You're this dude. You come across by boat from the Netherlands to the United States to do whatever, and you bring this 2.5 Gulden silver coin with you. Were they giving this guy, like, could he just spend this at the store? Or they're like, get out of here, that's some weird coinage? Or did he have to like go to a bank or an exchange and exchange a 2.5 Gulden for? At the time, it wouldn't have been a Morgan, right? It would have, in 1847, it would have been the, this guy here. I only have a half example, but it'd be the Ceded Liberty, right? So I think back in the day, they just kind of said, screw whatever your coin says it's worth. They were just basing off the actual silver weight. So again, a 2.5 Gulden was 25 grams. A Ceded Liberty back in 1847 was 26.8 grams, right? So they probably said, well, give us this plus whatever other little piece of silver. So maybe they had to like, bring a 2.5 and a 3, and then they'd give them a seated Liberty dollar, and then maybe, a seated Liberty quarter or dime or something at the time. Again, that's just me like thinking how they would convert, right? Because there wasn't the internet, there wasn't a live exchange. It was basically like, dude, how much silver do you have in your pocket? If you want to spend silver here, you got to turn it into US silver, right? So again, this is before things were so managed by governments. It was basically off of silver weight. And there was gold too, obviously, but I'm just talking silver. So my thinking behind this, which is kind of cool, it's like, how do I have this? And why is this stuff like not that expensive? I know I got a good deal on all this stuff. So all these Netherlands silver coins, I ended up getting, they average around $12 a piece. So it's around $35 per ounce of silver. It's roughly 5.2 ounces of silver. I already did the math. I'm not going to show you that. It's boring. But to me, like, that's the value, right? So I think I really got a good deal, because I think this coin alone is worth like $150. But again, it's like, to me, it's so weird, right? Like, now we base it off of the exchange that's on the internet or on our phone. But back then, dude, it was real simple. It's like, you got X amount of silver and we'll convert it to our silver at the time. So anyways, what I'm getting at is what makes the Netherlands very interesting. I don't know if it has to do with wars, or maybe they just needed to make as much money back then, but there's these like huge gaps in time. So we got Willem II, this dude here. So on a 2.5 Gulden, 1843 to 1849, 25 grams of silver, it's 0.759 full ounce of silver, right? So if you got two of these, you basically got 1.5 ounces of silver, or a little bit more than that. Then you got this dude, Willem II. So it goes from 1843 to 1849, then 1849 to 1874, and then it like really stops. Then there's no more 2.5 Guldens until Wilhelmina is put on it, but that's not until like 1929. So I don't know why that is the case. Like, why is there such a huge gap between 1874 and it's literally over 50 years until they make another 2.5 Gulden? Like, was this just like a fancy coin that no one really used because it was kind of a weird denomination? But it's really for 25 grams, right? So I don't know if anyone can answer that in the chat, but why is there such a gap? Why is there over a 50-year gap from Willem III to his daughter's coinage for 2.5? Now, as we get to the 1 Gulden, so we got Willem here. So he rolls from 1842 to 1849. The 1842 is the key date. Like, if you find one of these and it says 1842 on it, it's worth at least $275. Like, and then again, all these dates are easy to find. They're like literally right above the coat of arms. Okay. So, but these themselves, they're pretty rare. So anyway, you guys probably want to know like what these things are worth. So this one's probably worth about 150, maybe more, just because of the condition. These guys here, with Wilhelmina on it, are not worth as much. They're probably worth anywhere 30 to 45, depending on the condition. But it's a huge difference, right, between like something that's 175 years old to something that's 100 years old. I mean, that's a 75-year difference. So it's really cool to actually have these two not in holders and, get them for $12 a piece. I mean, it's crazy. The one Gulden coin is 1850, 1867 with Willem III here. Again, this dude's got the 945 silver. Key dates on that are the proofs. So there's an 1850 that's worth like 10 grand, and there's an 1867 worth 35 grand. And they only made those in proofs. So if you find a date with this dude on it in a 1 Gulden, and it says 1850 or 1867 on top, that's worth some bucks. 1853 over O is their key date. Those start at $300. So again, they didn't make a ton of these, so it's going to be pretty rare to find those key dates. And then this is where it gets really interesting. So when she's a young child, they made a very short run. It was 1892 1897. I'm sorry, 1896 and 1897. So the key date is 1896. They start at 750. But I guess this particular coin in 1896 is copied a lot. So if you get one of these and it says 1896 on it, obviously make sure it is a real authentic coin. So it's got to weigh 10 grams. It's got to measure whatever the measurement is, diameters and stuff. You know, that stuff can be found on there. Then we have her as a teenager. That one's pretty rare as well. So that's, again, there's only 2 years, 1898 and 1901, and 1901 is the proof. So there's really only an 1898, I'm sorry, a 1907, or sorry, 1904 to 1909, 1906 being the key date. So there's not a ton of these either. So I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's like they made a coin, right? It's like she's now the queen, but then they didn't really make any more money. I don't know. It's just weird. It's like, oh, we're happy that she's the queen, but we're not going to make a big 2.5 gulden because we don't want a big giant coin out there with a little girl on it, because people will be like, dude, get this crap out of here. Right. So is that why they only made one of these in a 1 gulden? Like, I don't get it. Very strange. And again, who knows? Maybe they just had plenty of other silver still in circulation, or were they using another country's money during that time? Again, I'm not going to go that deep in the history books. I just found it like really interesting. And then we have her as a younger lady here, and this is 1914. So that one's also interesting. That you know, the dates on these. So again, there's like gaps. And then they kind of carry over pretty simply to the halves as well. But the halves are not perfect either. Like this one's been totally, like someone went to town on this with either an eraser or sandpaper or whatever. And you got to remember too, guys, like people would polish their silver or wash it because there was so much disease and like, there's just like disgustingness out there. And money's obviously like super dirty. So people, like, you know, when there was the plague or the flu or the consumption, whatever they called it back then, like they literally polished their money back then. That's why it's hard to like find stuff like this. This is like a beautiful example, but it's not as old, right? It's from 1922. So this obviously wasn't spent. Like this is something that someone got, thought it was pretty, and they put it away for a long time. So I'm a little interested on, okay. My guess is whoever, because this whole collection is together, right? So this was either collected by one particular collector, obviously with ties to the Netherlands. And to find this stuff in the United States, I mean, seriously, guys, are we really going to buy a Netherlands coin from the Netherlands and pay like $30, $40 in shipping to get it over here, plus whatever import taxes and stuff? Probably not, right? So the stuff that's here in the United States is pretty rare. But I just find it interesting that I was able to purchase this whole collection from one particular seller. I think it was someone passed away or whatever, or you know, someone purchased this as a collection, because it's very unique to have all these different years with all the different representations that are in different conditions. This looks like someone set these things aside, and then it was like great grandma's collection or someone that came over here. I don't know if there was a ton of people from the Netherlands coming over here in the 1840s. So chances are it was probably someone coming during the time where a lot of immigrants came over, and they just like brought their old money with them to remind them of their heritage and things like that. So again, I find this like super interesting. Like the silver content is great. The numismatic value of these coins are great, but to me, the history of it is really cool. It's like, seriously, who brought this stuff over? Who is the original owner of it? What other stories and things like that? To me, that's, you know, that's what coin collecting is really all about. So anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully this helps you out. I did make this chart for myself. I don't have a world coin book. I'm not going to spend $50 on it because I don't really plan on doing it. But if you guys see this stuff in the wild, buy it. And if you can get it for melt, there's obviously way more numismatic value in these coins, especially if the condition rarity is like, you know, something as nice as this. You know, the melt value on something like this is probably like 16, 17 bucks, but numismatically it's worth 150. These will be really slow sellers. Like these are not going to sell instantly overnight. on my eBay store, but I listed them all anyway. So if you guys are interested in any of them, check out my eBay store. Other than that, I hope you appreciate the video. Again, not sure if you're interested in purchasing Netherlands silver, but hey, we're starting to reach out to different areas because our stuff here is like super ridiculous. And even like the mint made stuff, the modern stuff is getting harder and harder to find. So maybe time to go to some old school stuff. Man, if you're going to pay $35 an ounce, might as well get something that's really cool with some history behind it. So anyways, appreciate you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And you guys have a good rest of your day.